the last of the props are the ones belonging to the beams. So to insert these after we'd loaded them, click on place component. Actually before we do that, we gotta, so press an escape, and we gotta unhide our topography just to make sure that we can sort of have a good reference in terms of, you know, the ground level. So to do that, click on this button, right click on your topography and choose unhide element. Again, turn this off. So we've got our topography back. Now we want to place the beam props. So component, place a component and pick your beam props. So these should be loaded somewhere here. So these are the ones right there. So choose these and again go to your ground floor. This is where, so we're going to place them on a floor plan view, sorry. So that's the shape. Now whether we want it in this direction or in sort of that direction, we can test out. So let's try this and let's place another one next to it, just next to it where it's in that way, and let's have a look at it in 3D. So in 3D we get, if you guys can see, we've got these two components. This is not actually the correct way of placing it. We need it to be placed in this way because it's going to be holding the both sides of the formwork of the beam between these two spaces. So we can delete that one, just keep that one. Again, there's an issue with both the size between, so the gap between these two plates. We gotta make sure that we can fit in the formwork on both ends of the beam within that space, and we also gotta play around with the height of the prop. Again, since we created this as a parametric family, we can just change these from the left side on your properties panel. So if you go to the beam formwork prop width, we need to change that, but we also need to change the story height. So if story height is about 4,000, right? So let's say if we go with 3,600, see how it goes. This is a bit too high, you guys can see why. So let me just lower that down a bit. Let's go 3,100, given that the depth of my beam is about 800. So let's see how that looks like. Yeah, so this is way better. We can just see that these two plates, so that definitely does make more sense. Now the other thing that we've got to do is we've got to increase the spacing between these two plates, and to do that, so my beam was about, if I remember, well, we can double check. So if I select my beam, so again we got to keep using that tab button. If we go to the bottom, if you guys can't see the beams, if you're having trouble selecting the beams, even with the tab button, what you can do is you can go to your level 1, and from your level 1 you can try selecting your beam using your tab button up until you can sort of get hold of the beam. So over here it's 400, so the width of it is 400 and it has a depth of 800 mil. So going back to our ground floor, we want this to be set up so that the spacing is 400, maybe a bit bigger as well, to take into consideration the formwork that is placed on the outer side of the beam. So change that to 400 and maybe 20, say. And if we have a look at it in the 3D view, so you guys can see now the plates are located on the outer side, and it makes more sense now. We can even increase that a bit, so say 430. Yep, so that looks good. Go back to your ground floor, select the element, and we want to copy it multiple times. So let's leave a 2 meter space between all these elements. And we can maybe have another one just on the end, just right here. So if we look at it in 3D, this is the setup that you would typically expect for formwork and formwork props on a real construction site.